going to be pretty detailed, sufficiently detailed with links. And this is an important thing we can all undertake to contact county, state, and many other officials. So, Jason, I want to thank you for being on the show. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Okay, God bless. God bless everyone out there. And we'll see you Friday with Jim Conner Jr. We're going to examine the precinct delegate. Something very, very interesting you're going to want to hear about. Have a great day.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, putting America first, second, and third. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Friday, April 23rd, 2021. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. It has been a long and tiring week here, and I wish I could say I'm going to have a relaxing weekend, but unfortunately it's, full of editing and a bunch of other stuff like that. But anyway, it is Friday, so we can act like it's, Pauhana and get a little bit of relaxation in, I think. Anyway, we're going to do the show the way we normally do. We're going to do news until we run out of news. Then we're going to open up those phone lines for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. So let's just get right on into it. And, this is April. Okay, we are about a week away from May, and the northeast of the United States has been slammed by snow. We had snow right here in Indiana a little earlier in the week. And in Ohio, they had something like 4 inches of snow, power outages, and all kinds of stuff. So, gosh darn that human-caused global warming. Getting into some local politics or national politics here, Ron DeSantis has declared war on House Resolution 1. This is the resolution passed by Democrats to basically institutionalize the mechanisms by which they stole last November's election. And Ron DeSantis is out there saying there should be an immediate lawsuit, hopefully taking this up to the Supreme Court. And he says that in all probability, given the current makeup of the Supreme Court, that it would probably win. Unfortunately, the Democrats are getting ready to pack the Supreme Court, add 4 justices, all of whom are going to be hardcore liberals that are in love with Marxism and the rest of the liberal far-left agenda. Getting on to that Ma'Khia Bryant situation, there is a new video out of the incident. Was caught on a security camera across the street. The owner of the security camera didn't even realize he had the video until he went back and took a look at it. But the video has now gone on out and shows Ma'Khia Bryant, screaming, "I'm going to stab the blank out of you, bitch," while she lunged at these 2 unarmed girls. Now, one of the girls has already gone public saying that she thinks what happened was fine. Her life was in danger, and the police officer saved her by shooting the girl with the knife. And Ma'Khia Bryant's foster mother has admitted that the 16-year-old and two other girls got into a fight over a messy house and an unmade bed. So this was a girl who just had a tendency toward anger and rage going on in. Now, one of the jurors from the Derek Chauvin trial has admitted that the jurors were afraid of the Black Lives Matter mob, and that this fear is basically a major factor that pressured the jury to vote guilty on all three of these counts. And they were afraid that if they came back with an acquittal, that they themselves would be at risk. And on the basis of this, we ought to see a mistrial declared. And Derek Chauvin deserves a new trial, free from the political influence, free from statements by Mad Maxine Waters and Joe Biden. The jurors should be sequestered, their identities hidden, so that they don't feel like their lives are at risk if they go against the lynch mob. So let's see, another one, same thing. One of the alternate jurors said they did not want to go through the rioting and destruction again. And they were afraid that Black Lives Matter would come to their house if they acquitted Derek Chauvin. Now I hope Derek's lawyer is paying attention to this, because that is grounds for an appeal to declare a mistrial and go for another trial all over again with some better safeguards. Over at an Investment Watch blog, they have an observation that a lot of people have been making, including Tucker Carlson. The Chauvin verdict proved riots and intimidation work, and because of that, we can expect more of that. When Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and for that matter, any fringe group, if they want some special treatment or special laws or more money or whatever, all they have to do is riot and they will get it. And frankly, I would consider it a valid exercise of the justice system to get these riots under control so that we can go back to being a nation of law and justice. Over in Ohio, near Columbus Circle, Black Lives Matter protesters and police came to blows. They got into a fight when the statue was vandalized with anti-police graffiti. Actually, this was in New York City, not Ohio, Columbus Circle, and at the entrance of Central Park. So again, even though they got the verdict that they wanted, Black Lives Matter are still out there. They're causing a ruckus. They're causing problems. They went on a rampage in Portland again. Over in North Carolina, officials are saying they cannot release the body camera footage showing the shooting of Andrew Brown without a court order. And protesters are in the streets there. Again, demanding that somebody, some police officer somewhere, get lynched for the shooting, and the actual circumstances really don't matter. They're out for blood. We're in the wake of all these shootings again, and there have been a lot, and I'm sorry to see it happening. But we're again hearing all this talk about defunding the police. But there's a story that came on out of Hideout Now, where a researcher has found that cities that had the Black Lives Matter protests have seen a significant decrease in police homicides, but a huge overall increase in murders. And they're saying up to 6,000 extra deaths nationwide, massively outweighing the decline in police shootings. So more people are actually dying because of all the Black Lives Matter violence, but Black Lives Matter doesn't really care as long as it's white police officers that are being killed, or white people being killed in general. Okay. The country's largest police union has unloaded on LeBron James for inciting violence against the police officer who shot the knife-wielding young lady to save the lives of those two others. Now, LeBron James has now backpedaled from that because of the backlash. But again, it shows a certain mindset. that anytime a black is shot by a white police officer, it doesn't matter what was going on. It has been declared a complete, it's a bad thing no matter what the black person was doing. And certainly in the case of this almost stabbing, I think it's very obvious that the circumstances do need to be looked at carefully before the protesters take to the streets. But again, as Tucker Carlson pointed out, the Derek Chauvin verdict has shown rioting works, and so we're going to get a lot more of it, and it's going to take a huge, huge effort to try and push that back and send a message to the American people that no, rioting is not going to work anymore. We need to go back to being a nation of laws and justice and due process, which Derek Chauvin definitely did not get at his trial with all that political pressure on the jury. We're getting some new information about the events at the Capitol protests back on January 6th. According to a story that came out of Station Gossip, the U.S. Capitol Police were allegedly told to only look for anti-Trump protesters. And they were to basically ignore Black Lives Matter, Antifa, anybody else. They were out there looking for pro-Trump protesters to try and make trouble and make an issue with. Getting on to the vote fraud issue, down in Arizona's Maricopa County, the voting equipment and 2 million ballots are being delivered to the facility where the election audit will start on April. Well, actually, it started today. And they have the equipment, including the 385 tabulators. It was delivered and unloaded at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum on April 21st, and the ballots began arriving early yesterday. So Maricopa County officials arranged for the deliveries, which took several trips, and was supported by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office personnel, and to comply with subpoenas from the state Senate. Officials who had sought to resist the subpoenas were overruled by a judge in February. And apparently to maintain transparency and convince you that the audit is above board, the audit is going to be streamed live, and you're going to be able to watch it on your iPhone or your home computer, and hopefully we'll have a little more visibility than we saw during the actual election itself. But the Democrats, Arizona Democrats, at the last second have filed another lawsuit in Maricopa County to try and block the Senate audit of the 2020 election results. And it's obvious they've got something to hide. They really, they act like they're guilty. They act like they've got something to hide. So the Arizona Democratic Party filed a lawsuit yesterday trying to block the state Senate audit of the election results in Maricopa County. They're going to do whatever it takes to derail this. And there are audits and recounts going in several states right now, like New Hampshire, and all it's going to take is just one of these to come up and say something is very wrong with the results of the election, and you're going to see activists in all 50 states saying, we want a recount and we want an audit. I don't know, maybe the people who want an audit, an honest election system, maybe it's time for us to riot in the streets. I mean, it's working for Black Lives Matter and Antifa to get them what they want. So, maybe it's time for us to get, as Maxine Waters said, get confrontational. Over in Montana, Governor Greg Gianforte has signed 2 new voting bills into law. This was at the start of the week, and they prohibit registering to vote on Election Day and ending a previous rule that allowed students to use their student ID to vote, and now requiring a second form of identification, because if you've been a student, you understand there really is no verification of your identity with the student ID. They're easy to forge and fake, and again, can lead to massive fraud. Now, here's an interesting little story, and this came out of Involve.com. Facebook has a whistleblower that has come forward. Now, Facebook is out there banning people's accounts and killing posts saying they're fighting disinformation. But according to this Facebook executive, who's now on record telling a whistleblower that Facebook allows state-sponsored disinformation on their platform, as long as it doesn't help the Republicans. And so Facebook has been outed as a propaganda organ for the government of the United States of America, which is one of the reasons why I stopped using Facebook a long time ago. Okay, let's get into COVID-19. It's still out there. It's still being propagandized and exploited politically. Over in Michigan, there is a record number of children who have been hospitalized with the United Kingdom COVID-19 variant. And the state is struggling with the spike in the virus. I saw an interesting statistic earlier today that the COVID-19 is actually worse in the states that still have the lockdowns and mask mandates. But they're still out there pushing this whole thing. And over at Natural News, they have a story about American judges who are taking children away from their parents for not wearing a mask. And at least 2 parents have incurred the wrath of activist judges like Dale Cohen of Broward County, Florida, who took it upon himself to deny Melanie Joseph access to her own son unless she agreed to wear a mask at all times and get the vaccine for the coronavirus. And I think that is definitely across the line in terms of state authority, especially given that none of these vaccines are FDA approved. They're all experimental, and we are hearing about all these adverse reactions coming on in, and yet the might of the state is being brought to bear to make sure we all get those shots, and, you know, if we get sick from them or die from them, the pharmaceutical companies, at least in this country, cannot be sued for that. And to show you how crazy the coercion is getting, Joe Biden is warning people that if they don't get the COVID vaccine, that 4th of July celebrations might be canceled. So, he's out there talking about we need to celebrate our independence from this virus on July 4th. So get your shot and we'll take it. Again, they're desperate to get that jab into you, and the harder they push, the more worrisome it becomes. Over in Germany, their program to get people vaccinated has been very successful. In fact, they're running out of the American-supplied vaccines, and so the premier of Germany's Saxony region is making a deal to buy 30 million doses of the Russian-made Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine, assuming that the European Union's European Medicines Agency approves the deal. And I have a feeling they probably will not. Yet another vaccine side effect seems to be popping up. Over in Israel, 6 people who got the vaccine have developed herpes zoster, which is the fancy scientific name for shingles. And there's a new study published this month by researchers from Tel Aviv Sourasky Medical Center and Carmel Medical Center in Haifa, and they found the risk of developing shingles following a coronavirus vaccine in people with autoimmune inflammatory rheumatic diseases increases. So, there we are. Over in New York City, researchers are saying that less than 1% of people at a New York City school who were fully immunized with the COVID-19 vaccine tested positive for the coronavirus. This is a study that's intended to convince you that the vaccines are actually working. But we know that there are lies, darned lies, and statistics. Over in international news, in Russia, Alexei Navalny has ended his hunger strike. saying his demand to be examined by doctors has been met. And what caused him to basically reverse the course is the prison leaked video footage of him doing pull-ups, showing that he is actually in pretty good shape. And that all this talk of a hunger strike to protest the conditions in his prison may have been more facade than fact. Very alarming story, this one coming out of Tehran Times. A Marine Corps general in charge of CENTCOM is saying that Iran has taken air superiority from the United States. And the idea is that Iran is extensively using small and medium-sized drones for surveillance and attack. And there was a story yesterday about an Iranian drone that overflew a U.S. carrier group and got some very clear pictures of the flight deck of the carrier. Righty. Story coming on out of UNS.com. And they're talking about the latest skirmish between Israel and Syria and saying that it shows Israel is much weaker than it looks. Now, there were conflicting reports regarding this latest missile that was aimed at the Dimona nuclear weapons factory. Israel claimed they shot it down with Iron Dome. Syria said it simply overshot and hit an empty part of the desert. It's more and more coming on out that, in point of fact, Israel's Patriot, Iron Dome, and David Sling missile systems did miss the incoming threat. Those Iron Dome missiles, by the way, cost $100,000 each of your money. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Yeah. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander lifetime membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
We are living in dangerous days, and I am frightened by what you say. It chills right to the core. This talk of holy war.
And welcome back to our show here. Over in Iraq, 3 rockets fell near Baghdad International Airport. Apparently, let's see. Let's try that again. All right. And air raid sirens went off at Camp Victory, which is where the U.S. coalition forces are staying, but no casualties were reported. Joe Biden is reportedly going to recognize the Armenian genocide. Now, this is going to upset Turkey, and this may be another little dig at Turkey for the S-400 purchase. But this has long been an issue for Turkey, that to be friends with them, you can't acknowledge the Armenian genocide. But according to CNN, basically said the president was expected to make the declaration as part of an official statement on Remembrance Day, which is tomorrow. And both said it was possible he might change his mind before then and issue a statement merely recognizing the event without describing it as a genocide. And I think that is more likely because Israel does not want any other mass homicide described as a genocide, because they sort of like have this monopoly regarding the Holocaust, and if there are other genocides, then the Holocaust isn't the big deal we're being told that it is. Story coming on out from thedrive.com. All of the B-1B Lancer bombers have now been grounded. One of them experienced a ground emergency relating to an augmenter fuel pump filter housing. Say that 3 times fast. After landing at Ellsworth Air Force Base, South Dakota. And so now they're basically grounding all the B-1B bombers until they can check out that part and make sure they're not going to have any more problems with it. Over at the Congress, and this is in Defense News, lawmakers are telling Lockheed not to expect any more money for additional F-35s in fiscal year 22. And I think this is a good thing because the F-35 is a very expensive piece of junk that can't do what everybody said it was going to be able to do. And it's unaffordable and doesn't really work. And I think those countries that are buying the F-35 from the United States are definitely going to have buyer's remorse over that. Another story, this one coming out of scmp.com. China is investing a great deal of engineering know-how in their advanced radars, specifically with the idea of defeating stealth technology. And they're highlighting their ability to track U.S. stealth aircraft at an industry expo. This was this World Radar Expo in the eastern Chinese city of Nanjing, and included the long-range SLC-7, JY-26, and the LC-8E systems. Each of these systems can identify and track stealth aircraft. So that technology has now become obsolete. China is developing even more advanced systems such as metric wave, quantum, and laser radars to further improve their tracking capabilities. Right. Okay. Let's talk about the economic news here. Joe Biden is planning to raise taxes on the highest earners to 39.6%, and capital gains taxes to 43.4%. This drove the stock market down, as they're seeing it as another raid on the rich. And it's a complicated issue. Biden needs money. The government is broke. It's hideously in debt. And they can't tax the middle class or the poor anymore because we're out of money. The problem with taxing the rich is it's going to drive the top earners and corporations out of the United States. We're already seeing that on a small scale over in New York, where they have raised taxes there, and already companies have announced they're leaving New York for more tax-friendly environments. And it does put the U.S. government between a rock and a hard place because they're certainly addicted to all this military spending, and at the same time they are not running the economy in a way that allows the American people to earn the kind of money it takes to support that kind of taxation. You know, as wages and salaries drop, so do the tax revenues, and simply running up the tax rates isn't going to, correct it because the money is just simply not there. I heard a statistic a while back that between the taxes the government claims they're owed and what they're actually able to collect is something like $400 billion every year. So we'll see about we're out of money. We're bust out here. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the energy cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Corporations, Wall Street and the banks rule our politicians. They don't deserve our thanks, then they tell us the banks are too big to fail, when the banksters all need to be in jail.
Welcome back to our show here, getting on to immigration and globalism. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is now suing the Biden administration for releasing COVID-infected illegal aliens into the United States, and I wish him a lot of luck on that lawsuit. The fact is that these illegal aliens are being allowed through without medical checks for anything, not just COVID, and it represents a tremendous threat to the public health. Joe Biden is getting ready to try and ram amnesty through the Congress. And remember back when Joe Biden was campaigning and he said he wouldn't abuse the power of the president, that he was going to be a moderate, transitional president that would unite Americans? Well, like most other campaign promises, it didn't work. Joe is showing he's part of the swamp, who said whatever he needed to get elected, and now he's back out there trying to basically bully amnesty for the illegal immigrants through the Congress. And again, that represents a permanent Democratic voting bloc that will make this country a one-party nation like the former Soviet Union. And considering how bad things were in the former Soviet Union, I don't think that we need to be going in that direction. All righty, getting into political correctness and wokeism. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is going to allow embassies to fly the pride flag on the same pole as the flag of the United States of America. This is another Trump-era policy being reversed by Joe Biden just so he can say he reversed the policy. And I don't have an issue with people wanting to fly the pride flag, but I do admit I'm a little uncomfortable when it's flying on the same pole as the flag of the United States, because it's sending a message that all Americans agree with this, and that is certainly not the case. I think the pride flag deserves its own flagpole, and that we don't need to be trying to send this message to the rest of the world that the United States has gone down this path. All right. Here's another good one. Over at Loyola University, the black students there want to eradicate Western civilization from the honors program. And they want to change the honors program curriculum. And I don't know what they want to change it to, but they don't want to have Western civilization as part of it anymore. We're being erased. Our culture is being erased right in front of our eyes. Over in Virginia, they're getting ready to eliminate all accelerated math courses before the 11th grade in the name of equity. And they basically want to keep higher achieving students from advancing as they normally would in the school system. To make sure everybody has an equal education. And I went through this many, many years ago. I taught a year of remedial math at the high school level in Southern California, And I was looking at the students who were really smart and wanted to learn, and I was trying to help encourage them along, and I got called on the carpet for it. And what I was told at the time is the schools are there to provide an equal education to everybody, and that meant that everybody had to be kept down at the same level as the dullards who weren't interested in math, couldn't handle math, and really didn't care. And now it's up here. The state, Department of Education of Virginia is saying, yeah, let's get rid of the accelerated math classes, and that way everybody will be equal, meaning equally dumb and equally unable to participate in a science and technology career. They're cutting the throat of America's future ability to compete in a global technological marketplace. Math is the language of science. And it really kind of bothers me to see people who go around saying, well, I'm not really very good with numbers. Like we're supposed to accept that. That's like saying I really can't speak the English language, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, math illiteracy is a big problem in this country. Some good news, and this actually got onto Fox News it was One American News the other day. Parents are organizing to push back against critical race theory. And again, in Virginia, there have been lawsuits filed. The more and more people, come out with this critical race theory and what they're actually teaching kids, they're getting very, very angry. Over in Oklahoma, state senators have introduced a bill to ban critical race theory from all public schools and universities. And they're saying basically because critical race theory is teaching that if you're born into a certain race, you are automatically racist. It's irredeemable. You can't deny it. And that is a racist attitude. To say if you're white, you must be racist. That's a racist comment right there. Okay. Another little bit of a whoopsie with a gender reveal party. This was on the border of New Hampshire and Massachusetts. They were going to do a gender reveal party, and they they apparently had 80 pounds of explosives mixed with blue chalk to announce a baby boy, or at least it's a baby they're calling a boy. And the blast was so intensive, people in the town thought there was an earthquake, and apparently several homes were damaged by this. And I think that's a good example why maybe having a little bit of advanced mathematics skills might keep you from doing dumb things like that. Up on Mars, a little bit of good news. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter just completed its second flight on Mars. And they took off for a more complex aerial maneuver. The first flight, they simply took off, hovered, and came on back down. This time, they actually sent it on out to follow a course. And it lasted about 50 seconds. And the goal was for Ingenuity to rise to about 16 feet off the ground, make a lateral move of about 7 feet, turn and head back, and then landing where it started. So good for them. They're calling the area where these flight tests are taking place as Wright Brothers Field. Anyway. By the way, little historical oddity here. There was a man named Frederick Whitehurst who had a powered airplane months before the Wright brothers, but the Wright brothers had better press relations. So little historical oddity. Getting into the world of computers, story coming on out of ZDNet. Ransomware is growing at an alarming rate. This is a warning coming from the GCHQ chief. And why shouldn't it grow? I mean, they're making lots and lots of money, and nobody at the GCHQ or NSA or FBI seem to be inclined to try and do anything about it. And the cyber criminals are running rampant over our networks and our computers. And, I wish our government was as intense at stopping cyber criminals as they are at, invading other people's countries and taking their wealth. There's a warning for Android users. There's a text message scam. And the message pretends to be from a package delivery firm and then asks you to install a tracking app to track the package that's on its way to you. But the tracking app is actually a malicious piece of spyware called the FluBot. And it can take over devices and spy on phones to gather sensitive data, including your online banking details. And that's one of the reasons why Claire and I don't keep any of our banking information on our cell phones or tablets. We do everything either over the counter at the bank itself. We can log into our accounts from our desktop machines, but only to see what the current balance is. And I recommend that highly to everybody. There's another scam that was being talked about here on the radio in Indiana, where there is a fake COVID survey being sent out, and you fill out the survey, and then they say, we would like to send you a free gift if you will pay the shipping and handling charge. And you put in your credit card details, and you get charged for the shipping and handling, but nothing is ever actually delivered. And, of course, your banking details are now out there in the wild. For months now, we have been talking about the world computer chip crisis. It is impacting deliveries of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox consoles, the Samsung Galaxy and iPhones, cars like the new Ford, Toyota, and Volkswagen. And it's a major it's a major problem. A lot of it relating to the U.S.-China trade war. They're saying it could continue for another 18 months. And my response to that is, let's get some of these billionaires, like Bill Gates especially, whose fortune rests on appliances with microchips. Let's start a domestic American microchip company that can fill in the void on some of this. Getting on to ClimateGate, and again, we had snow here in Indiana this week, and there's snow all over the Northeast. Climate activists dumped cow manure outside the White House to protest Biden's climate plan. And the group is defining Biden's plan as bovine excrement, hence the use of the manure. And they had signs saying, "Stop the bovine excrement and declare a climate emergency now." So apparently whatever Joe Biden did is not enough for the fanatics, and they're taking a lesson from Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Riot, 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 riot. We'll get what we want if we break enough Starbucks windows here. Russia, as tensions increase with the United States, Russia has announced they will quit the International Space Station by 2025, and they are already working on building a new space station of their own. Now, back in 1998, the U.S. and Russia jointly launched the International Space Station. It was hailed as a significant step to reconstruct relations between the U.S. and Russia. But that didn't work, and Roscosmos is saying, 2025, that will be it, and they're going to get out of the ISS and put up a competing station. My guess is it's probably going to learn from Mir and Skylab and the ISS, and probably be something rather amazing to see. Another first coming from Mars, this from the Perseverance rover. They have extracted breathable oxygen from the thin Martian air. Now, it's no secret that there's a little bit of oxygen in the Martian atmosphere. We discovered that with Viking all the way back in 1976. But they're basically working on a system that converts carbon dioxide from the Martian atmosphere into pure oxygen. This, of course, would be key to having a permanent base on the planet Mars. So good for them there. Meanwhile, China is working on the next generation internet, and they have launched a large-scale experimental network in Beijing, and it exists to test the future of internet technology over the next 5 to 10 years. And they're talking about massive increases in bandwidth and far lower latency than the current internet has. All right. Not too long ago, there was an accident down in Texas where a Tesla with nobody in the driver's seat had a crash that resulted in 2 fatalities. And the Texas police are serving search warrants on Tesla to secure the data from the car. All modern cars have got crash recorders. I was rather surprised to find out there's one in our Hyundai as well. Tesla, on the other hand, is saying that there is no indication that the autopilot was actually engaged at the time, and that the autopilot will not engage if somebody isn't sitting in the driver's seat. So they don't know exactly what happened. Somebody may have had this idea that they could just jump into the passenger seats, turn on the engine, and the car would take off and drive by itself, which didn't happen. Up in Canada, one of Trudeau's ministers, the Heritage Minister Stephen Guilbeault, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is introducing an internet control bill, and he's saying this will make Canadians safer. And he said the legislation will create a safer environment for all people online and not just for a handful. In other words, they're bringing internet censorship up to Canada like we have down here. Now, if you do kind of anything online, sooner or later you're going to run into these little CAPTCHA boxes, and some of them are pretty benign. You just click a check to prove that you're a human being. Others are a little more difficult. They'll put up pictures and say, click every one that's got a traffic light or a bicycle. But it's full of problems. And Claire went through that the other day when she was trying to order something online. And the CAPTCHA just... she was actually trying to fill out a contact form online, and the CAPTCHA just kept kicking back over and over and over with more of these images. And I went in and tried to debug the situation. But as it turns out, according to this article in canxs.com.au, there is a problem. And it is not a robust technology, and it really does get in the way around the world. I understand the desire to not have automated bots going into your systems, but at the same time, you've got to have something that is bug-free, or you're going to lose customers. And that is a major, major problem. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be back with more news and then open phone lines after these few words.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And welcome back to our show. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're looking at another story. This one is coming from the Daily Mail, talking about undersea volcanoes. And they are a phenomenon that has been rather underappreciated and even ignored by the global warming community because they do pour a huge amount of heat out into the ocean. It's been discovered that the El Nino current originates above a field of ocean floor volcanoes that are in various states of eruption. But now there's this article, and this is coming out of the Daily Mail, where researchers are saying that it might be possible to tap into these undersea volcanoes for geothermal power. Now, there have been experiments with geothermal with volcanoes on land. There was a geothermal plant on the Big Island of Hawaii that got eaten by its volcano, and I assume they're building a replacement from it. But researchers did a mathematical model and said that these volcanoes can produce enough energy to power an entire continent, and that would certainly go a long way toward freeing us from the use of fossil fuels. So hopefully the climate people will get on board that idea. Another story, this one is coming out of Scientific American. They're still analyzing the data that came from the Cassini probe into Saturn and the Huygens lander. And they've discovered that on Titan, which is Saturn's largest moon, that the largest sea, Kraken Mare, is actually quite deep. And they're, deeper than some skyscrapers, and that's a lot of volume of liquid in which life could potentially evolve. Okay, we have a caller on the line now, Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I've argued for a long time that the subsea volcanoes have been overlooked, and I'm not sure whether they intentionally or unintentionally. At the depths at which you find these things, oceanic waters are rather cold, And
Yes.
we do know that cold water, for example, will absorb far more gas and hold gas for much longer than warm waters. So what happens now is that as these CO2 saturated waters circulate within the ocean basins, and they're driven by the thermohaline convection current, for example, in the Atlantic Ocean, as they rise and they warm up, the warmer temperatures allow for the release of CO2 from these waters. And so what happens now is that here you have a prima facie case here where you have a warming preceding the increase in CO2, and that can precede the release of CO2 by many decades, to hundreds of years.
Yes, that's what the data actually shows here. I mean, one of the deceptions that Al Gore put into his mockumentary, Inconvenient Truth, he tried to show that as CO2 went up, warming would follow, but if you zoom in on the data, it shows exactly what you say. The world warms first, and then it produces more carbon dioxide, not just from the undersea volcanoes, but just from the expanding biomass.
That's right. You see that in the Vostok cores, the core data. When you look at the
All right, Kelly, stay on the line. We got to take a break for station identification. Don't hang up. I'll come right back to you after these few words.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here, hour number 2. The phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're talking with Kelly in Austin about volcanoes and their impact on atmospheric CO2 and global warming. The reality is these volcanoes pour out so much carbon dioxide, it dwarfs human efforts. And so all of this focus on, humans reducing carbon dioxide, it's just another excuse to control our lives and find another reason to tax us for our carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide isn't even the worst of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The worst one is water vapor, but they couldn't convince you to pay a cloud tax. Methane is 10 times as potent as carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas, but most methane comes from deep crust microbes and cows, which are life forms far too intelligent to take Al Gore seriously. But in all the models that we use to support this whole human-caused global warming nonsense, the effect of subsea volcanoes was pretty much left out entirely.
Yeah, and that's bothered me greatly, because if you look at the ocean basins, the maps of the ocean basins, you can see that you have abundant volcanic activity along the seafloors, along the spreading edges, for example.
Yes.
And you have hundreds to thousands of hot spots around the world.
Yes.
That haven't risen to the surface yet. So you have abundant volcanic activity, and CO2 is really one of the major gases associated with volcanic eruptions.
Yes, they are.
Again, as I said, in the colder, deeper waters of the ocean, those waters will absorb a great deal of CO2, and as they circulate along this conveyor belt type system that drives waters through the ocean basins, they will rise, they will warm, and as they warm, they will degas. And I've argued that many times.
I think you've got that backward. It's as they cool, they degas. And
no, as they warm, they degas. As their colder waters will retain gas.
Okay.
And as they rise into the shallower levels of the ocean water's warm.
It's kind of like opening a soda pop bottle at room temperature.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay, I got it now.
So you're rising up into a level of the ocean where there's much less pressure, and then where the warmer waters allow the CO2 and the gases to exhaust and into the atmosphere. And if you look at the Vostok core data, which will take you back some 300,000 years,
yes,
you could see a lag effect of about 800 years, for example, in this. And so the warming precedes the release of CO2 by many years.
Yes.
Al Gore got it entirely wrong.
He did, well, intentionally.
And I've argued this with these true believers many times, and they just do not want to acknowledge the data. They ignore it.
Yes.
Because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the narrative. Anyway, I'm glad you brought that up. Because, people need to know about this. In my dissertation research many years ago, I kind of got into the area of paleoclimatology, not intentionally, but it came up, and you can see the same thing in groundwater systems out in West Texas where I did my work, and you see long periods of warming. And then you can see changes in the oxygen-18 and deuterium signatures, along with as you measure age on a basis of carbon-14. These things take place over a long period of time. That warming that occurred at the end of the Pleistocene and over the Holocene epoch, was not driven by anything other than terrestrial and extraterrestrial forces here. And it's the same thing in the ocean basins today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell people to Google Vostok ice cores and look at the graph of that.
Yes.
And there's another graph that I need to send to you, and it shows CO2 and temperature over the Phanerozoic eon. That's the last 542 million years. We've been able to reconstruct that with fairly great accuracy. And what you'll see is that the current period, the current epoch now, is actually a very cold period of time in Earth's history. There were two other periods of time when Earth's temperature dropped down to about as low as it is right now. But other than that, for millions of years at a time, Earth's temperature, the atmospheric temperature, was much, much higher.
Yes.
I calculated in my dissertation research out in West Texas, based upon the data that I had, that you saw as much as a 5 to 7.5 degrees centigrade difference over time. And in other words, it warmed up like that. But still, the global temperatures you see now are very cool compared to the temperatures that existed we find over the 60 million years of the Tertiary period, the 80 plus million years of the Cretaceous.
Yes.
And then the 60 million years of the Jurassic, on back into the Triassic, and then also into the warmer periods in the Paleozoic. We are not in danger of a runaway greenhouse effect right now. I'll send you that graph. It's a beautiful
I would
graph.
like to see that
and
very
another
much.
One that these
You know,
people,
and
yeah,
again, we were told by this point, the Arctic would be ice free, snowfalls would be a thing of the past, and obviously this week has demonstrated that, not only can the weather forecasters not tell us what the weather is going to be a week from now, but certainly the climatologists really have no foundation to say what's going to be happening 100 years from now.
Oh, yeah, and if you've ever looked at these so-called general circulation models that they developed over the last 20 or 25 years that attempted to forecast temperatures,
yes,
the problem with these things is they're so complicated. They're multidimensional, nonlinear models. Those things become highly complicated. So they don't know how the different components of the system fit together. But if you've ever done numerical modeling of any kind of a geoscience system, one thing you have to do is you have to verify and calibrate a system. But we have no basis for calibrating anything.
No, we haven't been around that long.
No, we haven't been around that long. And so what it is, it's a shot in the dark. They make assumptions and they try to make the model fit their assumptions.
And certainly with this whole human-caused global warming situation, I mean, the funding was going to scientists who claimed they could prove humans were warming the Earth. They literally bought the science, the golden rule of science. Whoever has the gold decides the science.
Yeah. I just bought a book, and I'm just now getting into it. The title of the book is Science Fictions. And it's a book written by a Brit, and he delves into how the scientific method has been bastardized by people who are chasing money and whose science is driven more by politics.
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to getting into that because I've argued for a long time that a lot of what goes on for passes of scientific research in universities is tainted by money in politics.
It certainly is. Well, in medieval times, the rulers would use the clergy to get up, in their little robes and say, God says you need to do this. And the people would say, oh, yeah, we can't argue with God. And because religion is on the decline right now, that has been replaced by the scientist who stands up there in his white laboratory coat and says, well, this is what you must do. And most people are saying, well, we can't argue with the science, and so therefore we will do what the rulers want us to do.
Yeah, it's called scientism.
Yes.
Yeah, and that aggravates the hell out of me because, I'm a proud scientist, and I see people who promote that nonsense, and I think you people are ruining the field of science. You don't know the scientific method, and you're giving every honest scientist a bad name.
Yeah, and our educational system is de-emphasizing science, engineering, and now math so that people can't think for themselves and double-check the results.
Yeah, and apparently reading and writing.
Yeah. Yeah, good spelling is racist.
Thanks for taking my call. Let me rant today.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I heard you before talking about, first of all, the election, and you got House Bill 1 or whatever it is called there. That is virtually no chance of passing the Senate. That's going to be filibustered. The only thing is that the Democrats are going to, if the Democrats then try to get rid of the filibuster bill or something like that, that would probably be the red line. Like Putin's drawing red line now around Ukraine and all that. And I think that would be the red line that would split the country in half. That would start the revolution, not the revolution necessarily, but
a civil war.
Probably maybe not even a civil war, just a peaceful secession from half the country would say enough is enough. And if they, I don't think they have the military that would be able to force it to stay together because remember the military has split themselves, and that would probably finish it off. That would be the end of the republic as we know it, the United States. The other thing is you mentioned Biden with the imposter, what he said about July 4th.
Yes.
This guy, half the country already has gotten rid of their mask mandates.
Yes.
He's all upset about it. Nothing he can do about it. Gotten rid of their, already made it clear that the so-called vaccine passports will not be pushed. It will not be honored. This thing is, coming apart by the seams. People are getting wiser and wiser, understanding that this flu is not the end of the world. And more and more people, including most of the military, are refusing to get the injection.
True.
So, Biden, like I said, Biden is he's a decrepit old, demented fool. Doesn't even know basically what planet he's on. He's not going to get his way,
Well, he's just a front man for powerful interests who want to get their way. I don't think that any of this stuff coming out of the White House is Joe Biden's idea. It's being fed to him by his handlers.
You're probably right there. You're probably right, most of it at least. But even his handlers, they're not going to get. They have no. They don't have full control of the military. They're not respected. In order to push what they want forcibly, they would have to have complete control of the military. And by what they're doing now, by trying to purge it, it's just going to turn more on them. It's going to turn away from them. And if we do have that civil war or that the secession, the military will probably be most of be on Patriot side.
Yes,
I'm looking myself to move to a completely red state now. I mean, North Carolina is for the most part a red state, but for some reason or another, we got a Democratic governor here. I think he stole the last election. I think he probably stole both elections that he's been elected in, and he doesn't want to let go. Even though that the lieutenant governor is very conservative, the legislature is very conservative, somehow this guy's still got dictatorial powers and can push these mask mandates. Still has a certain amount of mask mandates, and the people just got to tell these politicians, no, we're not going to obey. This is not. If you notice, like in Great Britain and some of the other Commonwealth nations, they've got a virtual dictatorship now.
Yes.
Well, one of the reasons why is they don't have a constitution like we do. They don't have really states' rights. And on top of that, instead of pledging allegiance to a country and a constitution, they pledge allegiance to a degenerate, a family of degenerates and pedophiles. That's who they pledge their allegiance to. So I mean, it's no wonder that happens. And that's the only. By the way, Britain is right now is the danger with what's going on with Russia, because we already turned away our ships from that what's called the Bosphorus states.
Yes.
But the British have their fleet ready to go. They're headed over there now. This little island of depravity, this disgustingly, this who worships a family of degenerates. Okay,
mm-hmm.
They can't seem to get it in their minds that their empire is dead. Been dead a long time already. They're not a world power anymore. Okay, they barely can get. Other than being a police state now for their own people, they're barely a superpower. They're not a superpower. And it looks to me like France and Germany and other European countries, they don't want any part of this. All it is the United States with this decrepit imposter, and Britain. And even the decrepit imposter finally, he backed down very quickly,
Yes, he did.
So that's the problem. But Britain, I don't know. I guess they can't get it through their sick minds that they're not a superpower anymore. They're not an empire. Their empire is done. It's finished. Matter of fact, a country like India, which used to be part of that empire, is now more powerful than the so-called mother country.
Yeah, that's true.
All right?
Yep.
I mean, they got to get it through their minds. They're not, and Russia would squash Britain if it just came to Russia and Britain, they'd squash Britain in probably a day. So they got to get it through their minds. I mean, they don't rule the world. They don't rule the waves anymore. They don't rule anything. I love listening to the LaRouche people. Used to be LaRouche himself, and now the LaRouche people, like a guy like I think his name is Harvey Schlanger or something like that.
Yes,
he's Schlanger. Anyway, it makes it clear that the British Empire is one of the biggest problems we have. And it's been that way for a long time. They're not friends of the United States. They were ready to back the South during the Civil War because they wanted the cheap cotton, just like now a lot of countries want cheap oil. They wanted cheap cotton.
Well, not just the cheap cotton. They wanted an end to Lincoln's greenbacks, and to force the United States back onto private central banking.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
And I also know this. Guess who came to the U.S. defense at that point and made it clear
Russia.
that Britain would not be able to do it? Exactly. Okay? It's one of the reasons I think Britain has such hostility towards Russia, So, I mean, they fool nobody. Let's just hope they're not able to start World War III now. That's all. Because Putin, you look at the speech he just gave, he's not playing. Russia is not playing. They mean business. And they have the ability to back up what they say. So, let's just pray to God that this doesn't, get out of control and possibly end the planet as we know it. And that's pretty much all I can say, Mike. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much here. We got callers waiting on the line, 512-248-8252, but we're coming up on a commercial break, so I'm going to throw some more news in here. This is a story coming on out of Cuz Blue, where the White House is saying that Joe Biden supports decriminalization of the recreational use of marijuana. And maybe their thinking is if we're all puffing away and a little bit stoned, that we won't be paying attention to just what a bad job of managing this country the government has been doing. And it certainly has been a bad job. And on that same topic, more or less, out in Washington State at the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, which is, by the way, the most contaminated piece of ground on Earth, the Department of Energy has confirmed that 2 underground structures holding some of this nuclear waste have been stabilized because it was thought they might possibly collapse. And so they've completed that work, and it's a little bit of good news, but at some point somebody's going to have to sort of bite the bullet and figure out how to fix that mess. Okay, we're going to take a break for commercials. Phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. We'll be right back.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. and knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did.
Welcome back to our show, and again, a friendly reminder and a nudge in the ribs that Republic Broadcasting Network needs you, specifically your continuing support to go on doing what we're doing, which is speaking truth to power. And at this point, we should say thank you and express our gratitude to those of you who are supporting the network with your continuing donations. We really do appreciate that. And once again, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer, anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. Now, if you mail in a donation of $100, you will get your choice of an RBN coffee mug or an RBN t-shirt, so include a return address and your t-shirt size if that's the way you want to go. For a donation of over $115, you will get both. And don't forget the front side firearms deal, because that is really a sweet deal for Second Amendment enthusiasts. Before I go back to the phones here, I just saw on the corporate media that they're confirming a story I saw earlier about how Biden's new climate plan would limit Americans to just one hamburger per month. And when I first saw that, I said, this has to be somebody's idea of a joke, but it's actually on the corporate media now. So for those of you who like cheeseburgers, and I am one of them, another reason to oppose that. All right, let's go to the phones here. Joe in California. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
That's it, Mike. That's my red line. One burger a month.
I thought that was just somebody spilled the ketchup.
Or do something. Yes. Just to follow up on what Mark was saying, Mark from North Carolina.
Yeah.
First of all, for all practical purposes, do we even have a constitution at this stage?
No,
but
at this
Mark's
point, the
red
government
lines,
is clearly ignoring it.
Yeah, Mark's red lines are becoming manifold. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he said, the people wouldn't put up with these lockdowns, and they lasted more than a year. Then I thought he said the red line was going to be the vaccine, and they've gone along with that. So I'll believe it when I see it. This population is, for the most part, asleep and addicted to doing nothing. That's all. I mean, and this is what the Great Replacement is intended to do. It will make any potential uprising impossible.
Yes.
Because you bring in all these third world migrants, all they care about is if the welfare check arrives on time. They're not interested in finding out who killed JFK, who was behind 9/11, if there's a mandatory vaccine or if they end the filibuster. They couldn't care less. So
Yes.
that's where we've reached. But also, too, to follow up on what I believe it was Kelly over in in Texas was saying, about the corrupted science of climatologists. This is just another symptom of our insane age.
Yes.
I mean, just like the corruption of the science bureaucrats, health bureaucrats, the scientists in academia. It's all the same. It's just corrupt. It's all about greed, like you've been saying for the longest time.
Yes.
So that's where we are. But the reason why I called, there's 2 points. One, oh, and by the way, when Mark was talking about the UK, it's not about the UK. It's about the city of London.
Yes.
And their huge financial power. The Kyle Rittenhouse case. I haven't even heard anything about this. The status of that case for a while. But I think all patriots, whatever their color may be, I think all patriots, we need to take a page out of the book of BLM and Antifa. We need to threaten violence if this boy is not acquitted. If this patriot is not acquitted, we need to say, look, we are going to burn down the city if Kyle Rittenhouse is not acquitted or released forthwith.
Well, we should be grateful to Black Lives Matter because they proved that kind of an approach is going to work.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yep.
But Mike, last thing before I finish my call and wish both you and Claire a great weekend, and a maskless weekend. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned Pinochet.
Yes.
You know what? I really believe, short of a mass uprising, which is not going to happen with our completely complacent and asleep population, we need a patriot in the military to do what Pinochet did, or many patriots in the military, to overthrow, if anyone's listening, to overthrow this dictatorship that we're living through. And I'm talking about the full program. I'm talking about full Pinochet. I'm talking about helicopters dropping these scumbags into the sea. I'm talking about re-education camps. I'm talking about the full program. Thank you, Mike. God bless you.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot here. We're coming up on another commercial break. We got callers waiting on the line. We do have a couple of lines open right now. Area code 512-248-8252, and we'll be back after these commercials.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extendivite's 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs in Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out thekosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the kosher-certified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to meet. She often goes hungry so her babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden rule. She doesn't know she's a favorite daughter. If someone wants to help her walk on.
Welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are loading up, so let's go to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you, and have a great weekend coming up in clear. But, yeah, Joe has had a lot of passion there in that last call. That was a really good call by Joe. And, yeah, maybe Joe can get Layla to call back in because I love listening to Layla. So I hope she does call in one of these days. That would be cool. She comes back and gives perspective. Now, yeah, Mike, before I do that, and by the way, Joe, just so you know, I think Bruce Jenner's running for governor over there, or Caitlyn.
Caitlyn Jenner, yeah.
Might be more conservative. Yeah, Caitlin's going to be more conservative than Newsom, so that might be a good thing, Joe. You might be able to stay in California if Caitlyn takes over the governorship. So you might not have to move out of the great state of California, the land of milk and honey, and, you know, illegal aliens and every other thing.
Yeah.
Legal aliens, illegal aliens, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, Mike, now I'm going to get back to what I was saying about LeBron James in a minute, but before I go there, yesterday you had a caller in call about that I itch too much. I'm an itcher, and, you know, I was thinking, wow, really? So, you know, came on the news this morning, Mike, on Breitbart and Drudge, and I believe it was on Newsmax also. They're basically saying that people are liberal. Mainly these white women are liberal. They have mental health problems worse than a conservative woman. Well, I don't know if you got to see that story today. Did you see that, Mike?
No, I did not see that one.
Yeah, there's a story on Breitbart this morning. I'm sure you can pull it up, that people who are actually liberal, they actually have all kinds of mental issues, mental problems.
Okay.
And that was on a couple of the major networks, Newsmax. So there's my point right there and then. You know, one caller's calling me saying I'm bitching too much. Well, no, I don't bitch. I just try to bring out the facts and bring out information that people don't probably know about. And we're all supposed to educate each other about what the truth is going on in this country. Like Joe just made some great points. He made a great point what he just said about Rittenhouse. That was a great point, Joe made up. I mean, he didn't make up. I mean, he made.
Yes.
So, you know, to have a woman, you know, tell me, I'm not itching at all. I'm just, hey, I bring out the facts, Mike. I want the facts, the truth, the whole truth, not but the truth. Now, Mike, let's go to Chicago.
Yes.
By the way, before I go to my LeBron deal, 193 shootings, 193 dead since January 1st to now. There's been 193 people murdered in the city of Chicago. 190 of them are black. Okay, Mike?
Yes.
We don't hear nothing about that in the mainstream media, do we?
No, you don't.
No, Tucker Carlson does.
They only care if it's a white policeman pulling the trigger.
Right. Louisville, Kentucky. I believe there's up to 84 murders already this year. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Atlanta. I mean, Miami. It goes on and on and on, Mike, and it never is going to stop. It's all white man, bad man, white man, orange man, bad man. And you know what, Mike? the story is proven on even a liberal network like Drudge. Matt Sludge, kosher man, that, hey, guess what? If you're white and you're liberal, you're going to have more mental problems than if you were white and conservative. Hey, I'm not making this up, Mike. It was on the major networks this morning.
Okay.
So there you go right there. Okay? So let that, so be it what it is. Now, getting back to LeBron James, Mike.
Yes.
You know this guy has like 12 bodyguards around him?
Yes.
This guy has all these bodyguards, okay? He's making multiple millions of dollars off of white fans, okay? Fools, I call them, the white fools that'll go watch him dunk a basketball and shoot a ball 30 feet for a three-pointer, and, oh, he's the greatest thing he's got. Let's put the midgets. Let's get a midget league, 4'6", is the biggest that you could be, and put the basket up at 5.5 feet and let the midgets dunk. I guarantee you, everybody turn the NBA off and everybody start watching midget basketball. I might be giving.
Well, I have another idea. I have another idea entirely, and it has to do with all this equity we're hearing about. Let's have the basketball hoop on some kind of a hydraulic lift where whichever player has the ball, it adjusts the hoop for their height so that short people can play and play as well as the tall people.
Hey, Mike, I love it. I mean, I never thought of that one, but I love it. Got to be honest with you, that's great.
Okay.
But again, I'm just trying to be. Yesterday, I was just saying, Mike, let's put the basket at 11 foot.
Okay.
Put it at 11 foot, but none of these guys can dunk the ball. They have to. Everybody's got to lay up, and the little short guys are really going to shoot an arc to get it in, and give them an extra point if they make it from a certain distance. If you're like under 6'3", and put the basket up to 11 foot.
Yes.
And we'll see how many people watch the NBA. And National Felon League's going down too. Now, Mike, and then let me go back to immigration for a minute. Joe brought it up, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit. He didn't bring it up big, but I'm going to bring it up. Mike, here in South Florida again, they're talking about all these insurance companies there's fraud being committed all over South Florida.
Yes.
Multiple millions of dollars in fraud, okay, in these clinicas here in South Florida. So they come here. They're not even here 2-3 years. They want all this freebie. Then they get these positions, and they're stealing money, grafting money left and right by the millions. It's unbelievable what's going on. It really is. It's appalling, barely. These people are not coming, like he mentioned it. They're coming here not to worry about the news, what's going on in our country today, as long as they get those welfare checks rolling in every month and their Section 8 housing and their food stamps, Mike.
Yeah.
Costing American taxpayers like us billions and billions and trillions of dollars, man.
Yeah, but you see, we, the American taxpayer, we're running out of money, so where are the Democrats going to get all this to hand out? I mean, there was a story again on the corporate media just now. Democrats want to hand out more cash with no strings attached. It reminds me about when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was questioned about the Green New Deal. How are you going to pay for it? And she says, well, we'll just pay for it. Really? With what? Well, we'll just pay for it. It's like this disconnect. They don't seem to understand, that we just can't go on creating money out of thin air to buy votes without destroying the value of the dollar completely.
Well, maybe they'll get it from China, Mike. I can't answer that. I don't know. Maybe they'll get the money from China. Who knows whether these demon rats are going to get the money? But just to see that story, Mike, about the white women and men who are liberal having more mental issues in a major outlet is like, wow, there it is, man. It slammed me right there. I'm like, whoa, there it is. So Mike, the bottom line is, this is a setup. It's been going on for years with this. Look, in the Hong Kong flu in 1969, I was a little kid. Nobody told me I couldn't go to school. Nobody told me I had to wear a mask. Nobody had told me I had to go get a vaccination. I mean, it was the same thing. It was instead of H1N1, it was the N1H1, Mike.
Yes.
There's no difference. This is all a ploy to take down white establishment. And last thing, Mike, and I'll let you go. Joe was right. There's got to be a general or something's got to happen very soon. And Joe is right. Somebody's got to stand up.
I think the military is afraid of that right now, which is why they're purging conservatives from the ranks.
Well, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. And they're afraid of financial ruin. And that's what the problem is. And our founding fathers, a lot of those guys that were in the Revolutionary War, Mike, they had to give up all their fortunes, their big plantation homes and all that. And, and they sacrificed everything so this country could be free from England.
Yes.
So there it is. We need men like that. And unfortunately, I don't know if we have that anymore, Mike. And one more thing. I think our men and women in our military cannot take on Russia or China. in a conventional battle. I really don't think so.
Well,
Now, maybe
unfortunately, the Pentagon, in my opinion, the Pentagon, in my opinion,
I'm talking about.
Okay,
Mike,
I want to make a comment
NASA?
here. I think the Pentagon is making the same strategic mistake that the Nazis did toward the end of World War II, where the ground troops weren't seen as that important a factor versus the wonder weapons. And again, as we reported yesterday, they're pouring more and more money into updated nuclear weapons. And we've had all these boondoggles like the Zumwalt destroyer, the Gerald R. Ford, the F-22, the F-35, the Freedom and Independence class littoral combat ships are so bad they're already starting to decommission them, and so they can launch a new program for a new littoral combat ship.
Absolutely, there it is, right there. And one more thing, Mike. Putin's getting out of the space station in 2025. He's like to say, we'll go do our own thing. We don't want to team up with the United States anymore. We're going to do our own space program because our look what's going to happen to NASA. NASA's letting all these. You got to have a quota now. You can't have the best minds. I mean, no, this country's falling apart. Absolutely falling apart, Mike, in my opinion. And you can look at you got to look at the model of California. California's right there. The land of milk and honey. Ask Joe; he'll tell you. I bet when he walks out this door, all you see is some of those cities. All you see is a bunch of illegals everywhere. Anaheim, California, Disneyland. It's like a Disney movie, actually.
Yes.
Mike, that's all I got to basically say. And have a great day, and have a wonderful weekend. And I wanted you to make sure this, Mike. That one lady yesterday called. I'm not itching or bitching. I'm just telling the facts. And that's it. Facts, Jack. That's it.
All right, Tom. Thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch to Joe up in Nome. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Apparently, you acknowledged watching Idiocracy.
Yeah, I loved it. Somebody sent me a copy, and I watched it the other night. And it's funny, and it's also scary.
It's kind of a stinging indictment against your average American inductee. Don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. As for the rest of it, incidentally, I looked up a little bit about that actor that played the president.
Yes.
It turns out he's got a website. I'm not going to mention his name. Well, I can't. I admit I forgot his name at the moment.
Yes.
But easy enough to look up. But he got a website for recovering children that were molested because he was molested.
Good for him. Good for him. I mean, that's a real sore spot for me to hear about all that stuff that's going on here, and so good for him.
Yeah, and to Joe, Tom in Florida. I read that story about the mental problems in the liberal women.
We're literally at an age where the inmates aren't truly in charge of the asylum now.
Well, I have to, at least make excuse for my ex. She was raised in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
And she. When people realize that she was my former wife, they look at me in amazement, and I don't. She retired with the state of Alaska.
Okay.
In the fisheries research, but at any rate, so I need your mea culpa. Have you seen Iron Sky? With Sarah Palin as the president.
No, I have not.
Well, I don't want to be a spoiler here, but it actually does have a happy ending.
Okay, good.
But you have to wait until after all the credits to see it.
Okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind if it comes my way.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Anyway, my best to Claire.
All right, thanks an awful lot for the phone call, and we're going to switch over to Stephen in Oregon. Hello, Stephen. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. I want to talk about Mars and ingenuity.
Well, good.
Yeah, did you see the video?
Did I see which? I saw the video of the first flight. I haven't seen the video of the more recent flight.
Right. Do they have fine dust on Mars?
Oh, yeah, it's very fine. Mars gets these incredible dust storms that can blank out the entire planet.
Right. So they show it taking off, and there's no dust.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. There's a little bit of a wisp of dust that you can see.
Not on the YouTube video. There is not.
Okay, well, we know about YouTube.
Well, you have scientific. Can you punch up geoengineeringwatch.org on your computer right now?
I'd prefer not to.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for your call.
All right, thank you for the call. We're going to go to Andrea in Oklahoma. Hello, Andrea. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes. Basically, you know what it was like when you lived in Hawaii, and
yes.
By the way, aloha, at giving out bread and the homeless and people that were in need, and how it was growing from the time you started to the very time I guess you left.
Yes.
And you have to kind of use your imagination of what it probably is. And it isn't just in Hawaii. It's a nationwide.
Yes, it is.
Because of the problem of people losing their jobs and everybody having to stay at home. And husbands and wives are probably trying to figure out how they're going to pay the bills. And then they have the children. And they don't see too far outside what they're going through right now.
Yeah, so, Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
People are pretty much caught up in their own situation, and if you want to call it waking up, they're still trying to figure out how they're going to make it to the next hour, the next moment, and so if people called in, I would think if you asked them their age, you'd find most of them are maybe in their 50s and above, except for Mark. He already has said that he's way younger, like in his 20s or something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if the Navy's going to go ahead, and this has to be factored in, if they're doing away with math and engineering and music and all this stuff, let's just go back to the Navy. It takes a designer to design it. It takes math to produce it and to know your footage and everything. And back in 2011, the Navy released a big ship, and I think you said it rolled over. It wouldn't even stay afloat. It just rolled over.
I don't recall the story of that kind of a mistake. I do know that the Zumwalt, because of that inverted bow shape, does not ride a rough sea very well, but I'm not aware of any ship capsizing. Pardon me.
I just, the insanity of what's going on with our government, they're not going to be able to produce anything if they get rid of math and writing and reading. So
okay, Andrea, I got to put you on hold. I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here's a testimonial from Amazon.com. I am only 40, but I have put my body through hell working in manufacturing for 20 years. I recently started to notice a buzzing feeling along with a stuttering sensation with my heart. I had a full cardio stress done, which I passed. I decided to try Extendivite after getting the jingle stuck in my head. Halfway through the bottle, I really did notice a difference. After getting home from work, I would just sit in a chair for a few hours feeling like crap, and this stuff reduced that feeling along with heart discomfort to almost nothing. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. Last segment on this Powhana Friday. We're talking with Andrea in Oklahoma about people waking up. And Andrea, you brought up a really good point that right now the vast majority of the American people are just struggling to get by, and their consciousness is not reaching upward and outward to more concerns about like potential war and how badly the country is being run. And I mentioned before in the phone call Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in which he said that there is this layering of needs, 5 of them, and the one at the very bottom is immediate physiological needs, food, sleep, and then after that, but once that's satisfied, then people start thinking about security, and then above that, they start thinking about love and affection and so forth, all the way up to the top, which is self-actualization. But the theory that he put forward was that while you were on that lower level, you were oblivious to those other needs, and it may be intentional on the part of the government to keep us all in this state of immediate physiological need, whether it's food, shelter, or safety from an imagined virus that's keeping us all here, and that's why a lot of people aren't waking up.
Well, I'm thinking that from what I can see, everybody abides by, because they cannot afford to lose a job.
No.
That is the only thing and so they're not going to make any waves. And they're shocked whenever I mention when we're going to get rid of the mask or anything. It's like, you'd have to talk to my boss or you'd have to talk to the county or the mayor, because in Oklahoma there was never a mask. It was never talked about. The whole state is no mask. It was by county. And so it's really quite, it's sad. They all still listen to, and Plus, they probably have a TV in every room if they still can afford their apartment. You go by certain places, if the landlord is they haven't been able to pay, all their stuff is on the corner. So it's, repossession is going by here really, and that's probably their main focus is how they're making it. So all you people out there that you're in your 50s and 60s, you might, I try to talk to your kids. I know that I've tried to talk to mine, and they're doing the best they can, and they don't really want to hear what I got to say. But, I'm helping them out the best they can so they don't move in with me.
Okay.
I love the show, and I'll let you go.
All right, thanks. We're going to go to Ken in New York. Ken, what's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Been a really great show today. And my concern is about the crash computers you were talking about earlier. I don't know how far the type of computer that they have today goes back, but I don't think that these computers are designed the way they are on $1 million aircraft, where you really want
they're
to
much
find out
much
what the
simpler
problem.
devices, and my understanding is they only keep a record for like the previous half hour or hour of operation, and it was something the insurance companies wanted to have. Accident attorneys were opposed to it, but they do have them. I know my Hyundai has it, and if you get in an accident, it records the state of the car at the time. Okay, anyway, Ken, I hate to do this to you. The music is playing. It's time to end this show. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. It is very important at this stage of the game. Have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Aloha, America.